It's incredible.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do.
Good deal. All right, I see the mayor is joined. So by my count, we've got myself, the mayor, Councilman Gregg. Is that enough for a quorum?
Yes.
Yes, you only need 3 for a quorum.
Okay, great. Do y'all want to go ahead and get started, or do y'all want to wait a few more minutes? I guess I'm the chairman. I'm supposed to make these calls, right? Why don't we go ahead and get the invocation going, and we'll go from there. Councilman Gregg, do you mind having the honors?
No, not at all. Lord, I just pray that you would be with those in Israel right now, our Jewish friends. I pray that you would wrap your arm of protection around them. And Lord, I pray that you would just foil the plans of the evil men that seek to do harm to innocent people. I pray that you would help those that are injured and provide those who've lost loved ones comfort. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. That was excellent. And more to come on that tomorrow night at City Council and beyond. First item on the agenda is the approval of the September 25th, 2023 minutes. Can I get a motion?
Move for approval.
Moved and
Second.
moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify support by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. First item up is an authorization for the mayor to execute a utility easement in connection with the Archer School. And I believe Ms. Creech has got the honor of presenting this one.
Good afternoon, Chairman. This is to allow the city to give Dominion Energy an easement to underground some power lines through a portion of the MLK pool.
Got it. Good deal. Does anybody have any questions or comments from staff?
Yeah,
Oh, please go ahead.
sorry, I couldn't find the button to raise my hand. Haven't we already approved this in a previous real estate committee meeting, or is this a revision to the undergrounding for the art school?
My understanding is that this is different, but I may be incorrect. I'm covering this item for Ms. Copeland, so she has more background on it than I do.
Got it.
All right. Can I entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify support by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none. Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Creech. I see Tracy's got her hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to provide some information for Councilmember Gregg. You all approved using the funds to do the undergrounding, but that is just for the easement that you guys were granting.
Got it.
Actually, yep.
Thank you.
Got it. Appreciate that, Tracy. The next item up is an ordinance rather to sell 204 square feet between 32 Menotti and 14 George to facilitate a property line adjustment. And Ms. Creech, do you have this one as well?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, take it away.
So this 204 square feet is located between 32 Menotti Street and 14 George Street. After 14 George Street was conveyed by the city to Spoleto Festival, we attempted to abandon the property line, but in doing so, we never conveyed that portion to anyone. So we're still the owners of it. But for years, the owners of 32 Menotti and their predecessors in title have been maintaining that area. And so they are now requesting to purchase that portion from the city. So this would be an authorization to sell that by quitclaim deed for a sales price of $6,120.
Got it. All right. Can I entertain a motion?
I'll move
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, moved and properly seconded. Any comments, discussions, questions?
I do have a quick discussion or question. Do we have an appraisal on this one?
We do have an appraisal on that one, and I'd be happy to share that. And I would also add that this property is otherwise unmarketable and undevelopable.
Okay. And it seems as though I remember something coming through on this again previously. Have we, this has kind of made the rounds before, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, I think we may have discussed during some of the negotiations portion in executive session, some of this aspects of the sale.
Okay. Could we get the appraisal, or have you already sent the appraisal? I don't recall seeing it.
Yes, I sent it previously, but I'd be happy to resend it with some additional info.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions from the committee? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify support by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next item up is a second amendment to a lease agreement for the renewal of a lease with Shoreline Partners for additional 5-year term and authorizing the mayor to execute it on behalf of the city of Charleston. Ms. Dinwiddie, is this yours?
Yes, sir.
Great.
Good afternoon, council members. This is exactly like Chairman Appel just stated. It's for the renewal of a lease agreement with Shoreline Partners that would give us an additional 5-year term to use this property. We're currently using it as a city satellite office, and it's used by the police department for their operations. We've leased this property since 2009. So again, this is just a renewal of that lease. It does set out the rental amount terms for the next 5 years. And it would go through October 30th, 2028. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about this request.
Great, thanks, Ms. Dinwiddie. Can I entertain a motion? We can get a discussion. Moved and properly seconded. Any comments, questions from the committee? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please signify support by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next item up is an authorization for the mayor to execute a first amendment to the transfer agreement dated February 9th, 2021, and this is for the conveyance of 36 Cooper Street to the Charleston County Human Services Commission, DBA Palmetto Community Action Partners, and this is for the development of some all too needed affordable housing in the city of Charleston, which
I'll
means
move for approval on that, Mr. Chairman.
great.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Ms. Shaw Johnson, do you want to maybe give us a few highlights on this one?
Sure. This group, Palmetto CAP, who's led by Castell Singleton, have been working on this effort. So we've moved along. This First Amendment is, as it indicates, to allow them to go ahead and close on it so they can begin building. We also had some demolition as well that had to take place on this site. It will produce, or the goal is to build 4 units. Those units will be long-term affordable, meaning that they will be a 90-year restrictive covenant with these. We will serve persons at both 60 and 80%. We will just split it down the line there in the affordable housing range. And so we will offer diversity as far as income ranges, as well as a long-term affordability period. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. We've got a motion duly seconded on the floor. Any comments or questions by the committee? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please signify support by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next item up is an authorization for the mayor to accept on behalf of the city an easement in connection with the outdoor public space and height density bonuses under the UP district zoning. And this is for property at 1310 Meeting Street.
I've got this one as well. These are the Cormac Apartments. And this easement would allow us to accept the outdoor public space grant to the city in connection with their height and density bonus for the Upper Peninsula District. And our ordinance allows these to be done either by a perpetual easement or restrictive covenant. So we've seen these come up before, usually in the format of restrictive covenant, but this time they opted for an easement. So it essentially functions the same way.
Great. Okay. Can I entertain a motion?
So we already had one.
Move for approval.
Second.
Right, moved and properly seconded. Mr. Mayor.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would just ask if there's any indication, signage, otherwise that lets the public know that these are in fact public spaces and they are welcome to be present and utilize them. You know, when you get a property like this, that it looks from the street like it just belongs to those people who live there, you know what I mean? And if it is going to be available to the public, it seems to me appropriate in some small way at least to let the public know that they're welcome to utilize the space. And then I was going to ask Magali, would you check if they own that next little parcel? It's a very triangular in shape just to the north of their property. I know they used it for a laydown area and I think they own it, but they need to clean, now that the construction's over, they need to clean that site up a little bit and do a little maintenance on it, keep it up.
Sure, I'll be happy to look into that. To your prior question, Mayor, my understanding is that the signage is something that our planning department requires as part of reviewing their information in connection with that incentive request.
Terrific, thank you.
All right. I think that's a great idea, Mayor. Any further comments, questions, discussion from committee? And these are the apartments behind Santi's, I believe.
That's correct.
Great. All right. Call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next
By the
item.
way, I understand that Santi's is under new management. Is that correct? New ownership? Has anybody heard?
That I don't know, but I hope they don't change too much.
I know it's one of my, I love going there. So,
It's a great spot.
yeah, I don't want to give too much of a public endorsement to any particular establishment, but it is a fun place to go to.
No doubt about it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
The best news I could deliver is that Santi's plans to open a restaurant West Ashley, and should be open in just a couple of months. So Santi's is coming to West Ashley.
Mayor, I heard some rumors to that effect, so I'm glad that you have confirmed.
Yeah.
The street talk about that.
Now, Mayor, is that it? The old D.D. Pecker's off of Savannah Highway?
That's what I heard. Yes, sir.
Near the Chick-fil-A?
Correct.
Wonderful. Well, Peter, drinks are on me, and Keith, let's get the whole West Ashley crew over there, and everyone else can join.
I don't
too.
get an invite. I'm sorry. Man,
Everybody's welcome.
I see there's 20 people on this Zoom call, Councilman Appel. I think that you know.
I heard all drinks were on Chairman Appel.
Yeah, that's what I heard. If you're on the Zoom call, you're in.
That could get expensive.
We'll put it on my council travel budget.
It's still at zero. It's still at zero.
Got it. All right, guys, that's great. Next item up is an authorization for the mayor to execute a transfer and development agreement conveying 3 properties. And this is again in connection with the Charleston Redevelopment Corporation to provide affordable housing, workforce housing for folks earning up to 120% of AMI.
Move for approval. Just one question. Will it have a deed restriction, Ms. Shaw Johnson? Okay, yeah, move for approval.
Yes, sir.
Great. Got a motion on the floor. Can I entertain a second?
The seconds are hard.
A second, yes, sorry.
Moved and properly seconded. Ms. Shaw Johnson, do you want to maybe hit us with a few bullet points on this one?
Sure. This is 3 single-family detached lots that we've held. We were hoping that we would have developed them earlier. We were trying to wait until prices went down a little, costs went down a little. We've seen some decrease in some aspects of construction. The CRC has some additional funding that they will use towards down payment assistance for the end buyers. The amount you see represented in the transfer agreement represents the amount that the city paid when we acquired the lot. In addition to that, it represents the amount of funding we paid to have architectural designs done as well. So pretty much this one's almost fully entitled. They have to go back and make a few changes just based on some time passing. But these will be 3 single-family detached homes sold for workforce housing. And we do have the 90-year restrictive covenants that follow these homes.
Yes.
Outstanding. Any comments, questions, discussion from the committee? Well, it's great to see affordability all over this agenda, and especially the 90-year restrictive covenants. That's excellent. All right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Next item up is an ordinance to amend the Public Infrastructure Improvements Agreement dated September 1st, 2015 between the City of Charleston and Highland Resources. And this is in connection with the TIF and the new Public Works headquarters. And I see our friend Jeremy Cook has just turned his camera on. So Jeremy, do you want to give us a little insight on this one?
Absolutely. Great to be with y'all today. This has been the works a long time. As y'all saw in the agenda packages, there are 3 different ordinances, and there's one specific before this committee, all related to the financing for the new Public Works headquarters and fire training center. And the specific part before this committee today is an amendment to the Public Infrastructure Improvements Agreement that goes back to 2015 for the Magnolia TIF district. As y'all remember, that agreement set forth different levels or different areas of improvements. Everything is public improvements, publicly owned per the statute. Some of those improvements were improvements being done by the developer, and some were improvements being done by the city. The major one being done by the city being the Public Works project. We've worked, and I know Ms. Wharton's on, without, I think, budget right now of around $111 million for that Public Works facility project. And before this amendment, the funding from the TIF immediately available for this project was about $32 million. So our order was to get more TIF revenues going into the Public Works facility so that there's less to have to be paid with general obligation bonds. So this amendment increases the TIF revenues to go to the Public Works facility by 67%. So from 33 million to 55 million. And those dollars would be available immediately using the increment that's being produced by that TIF district. So this ordinance makes that amendment being the primary one. And then there'll be subsequent ordinances for City Council and Ways and Means tomorrow night, authorizing 2 different borrowings for that $111 million facility, 55 million coming from the TIF, with up to 65 million coming from general obligation bonds to be issued next year. So the TIF financing is the one that's immediately moving forward. But Chairman Appel, I don't know if that was too much or too little. We can certainly do more, but that's the big picture of what we're doing here.
No, that's wonderful. Very important project, and I'm glad for that extra detail. Can I entertain a motion so we can get some discussion?
Move for approval,
Go.
Mr. Jim.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Mr. Councilmember Waring.
I guess this is for Mr. Cook or even Ms. Wharton, when do you see us go into the bond market on that 55 million?
So the 55 million is pretty much immediately. So, we're doing first and second readings and third readings at the October meetings. We envision having the rating calls with Moody's and Standard & Poor's this month, which would position us to price those bonds in November and to close the very beginning of December.
And the maturity on those bonds, what, 15 years, 20 years? What?
Yeah, I mean, we have some flexibility on that. I believe the current expectation is 20 years. Is that right, Ms. Wharton? We have some flexibility on that. But
Yes, that's correct.
yeah, so 20 years. And those would be repaid with TIF increment to make the annual installment payments due under the agreements.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Just to be clear, Jeremy, this borrowing would be solely paid back by the increment in property taxes from that TIF district that was set up 20 some odd years ago.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could somebody just walk me through the process? How do we get from 33 million in the TIF to 55 million? Is that just based on there's additional money coming in that we didn't anticipate, or so we can borrow more against it?
Yeah, so it's a combination of things. So it is that the TIF has grown more strongly the last few years, but part of it is we're shifting dollars because the original agreement set forth different categories of projects. So part of what we're doing is shifting dollars from what was going to be a tranche 3, pushing it earlier into tranche 2. So it's one, yes, there's more revenue to have, but also the city is claiming a bigger percentage of the available revenues sooner in the process rather than waiting until the end, because money at the end doesn't help you build a building now. So it's more valuable to the city, obviously, to get more money, but also to get more money on the front end. So there is more money, but we're also pushing forward when the city's getting the money for the public works facility, if that makes sense.
And then I guess follow-up question is right now, what is the interest rate on a 20-year bond, municipal bond?
Right. So obviously rates have gone up in the bond market, just like they have in, all markets, but we're still below 5% because these will be highly rated. Because we're using this structure, it allows us to do a public offering, which is why we have the ratings for Moody's and S&P. And typically for a longer term borrowing, that's your lowest cost of capital. So these will be rated, the city is AAA, in a very unique position to be in. And that's on general obligation bonds. Revenue bonds are typically priced off of that. So these will are rated. These will be rated, we assume, AA+ and AA1. So it's one notch below AAA. And that's the standard for revenue bonds of this sort where there's appropriation involved. So you typically one notch below your GO rating. So we'll be able to access the market at the best rate because of that AA+, AA1 ratings.
Thank you.
All right, Councilman Waring.
That's one of the reasons, Councilman Gregg, I asked, when we were looking at going to the market, it's just pretty much immediate because right now we kind of have an inverted yield curve right now. The shorter rates are higher than the longer rates. And that's why I asked you about the maturities.
Yeah, that's right.
Going out.
It's a unique curve at the moment.
Well, I mean, the short rates are kind of like the highest it's been in what, 15 years or something like that. And boom, that's when we go into the market. That's why, so we don't have too much flexibility in approving it and then maybe waiting a little bit, go to the market.
We really don't, because of the draw schedule for the project fund for this project. And Ms. Wharton can speak to it too, but it's anticipated that there would be a sizable draw before the end of the fiscal year for that project.
Oh, okay.
But that is why we're waiting. You know, the rating agencies want to see that the general obligation bonds, what's going to be issued next year, have also been approved, because it's the second half of the financing. So they don't want to see that you've approved half the financing, but those bonds won't be issued until likely a year from now, because of the reasons you indicated, Councilman Waring, to push off what can be pushed off. So the second half of the financing is being pushed
Sure.
off.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Well, it is what it is.
All right, good discussion. Very important project. Any further comments, questions from the committee? All right, thanks, Jeremy. All in favor, please signify
Aye.
support by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. And that concludes our non-annexation portion of the agenda. We've got 2 annexations up.
I move for approval on both of them, Mr. Jim.
I'm voting against both of them because none of them include District 9.
You can't win every agenda.
Yes, come on.
You've had a pretty good streak this year.
You did.
So moved and properly seconded. Molly, it looks like these are just 2 residential annexations. Is that correct?
That's correct. One in Hickory Hill in West Ashley and one in Riverland Terrace in James Island.
That's
So both
wonderful.
single family homes.
That's wonderful. And Riverland Terrace, you know, is a very important neighborhood in James Island, my district. It's probably, I would guess, 80 to 85% county. So every you know, addition is helpful. And this is a property on the water over on the Stono River. So it's a nice one to include in the city of Charleston. So welcome to both the Reeds and the Stones. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it.
Y'all in about an hour.
That's right. Want to thank everybody. Thank everybody from the staff and my colleagues on the committee. And we'll see everybody soon and see everybody else tomorrow night. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting.
Thank you.
Bye.